Where do you begin? um, it's there's just so many paintings. So a little bit. This was done a long time ago. It's like almost like very Picasso-ish. This is one of my favorite ones. It's titled "No More Tears." This is part of the changing of seasons. Just piles and piles. I'm just too lazy to empty the tubes of paint. So I got, when you go out painting in the winter, you use a tube of paint and then it gets buried in snow and then it's so cold, you just, so I've got, $20,000 worth of paint sitting there. I'll get to it, clearly. There's just little ones everywhere. They're just, this one's really warm and beautiful. This is like an ode to my mother. It's got a ton of paint on it. Oh, I worked on that for months and months. I love it. Here's a heart. It's trying to give you a bit of a tour here, show you around. And that one's actually painted on the frame. There's another heart painting. This one I painted, it's a urban landscape. It was very cold and it was Bank and Laurier. I painted that on location. Here's flowers. There's just a endless repetition of tenderness in that I tried to capture. This is part of the Cocoon series. This was really something because I was really playing with the transparency of white, which it's not, and to glaze with that is something kind of unique. So I was just trying to add layers of depth through transparency and envelope with a veil through that. It's just a gorgeous painting. Then I have these. I was just changing of the seasons, the spring, and there's a delicateness to them. Then here's this one. This is another cocoon. I haven't shown these. It's very difficult to, because when you use just so much paint, this is all oil paint. By the time that you, by the time it dries, you're on to something else. And you kind of, but it takes like a year or plus to dry because you're using really high quality oil paints. And then I tried having kind of the white in the background, and then I kind of made it go from north to south, but I had it break out like a ladder, like a spinal cord with the white there. Here's some other little peewee white ones. And there you go. We'll move over a bit more. There's more paint on the floor everywhere. I'm a bit of a slob when I paint, but not really, but I just get creative and I don't really, here's a really large one. I needed more wall space. So this is a 30-foot heart painting. This is one of my best works. It kind of pains me to have it on the floor, but I had to figure that out. I just don't want to move it in the cold. It might crack. This is a very large one. This is just, I love it, but it's huge. I really got something out of that. Give you a little tour here. I'm working on those, and this other huge one over there. I've been working on it for 8 months or so. More paint, shows you kind of how I work. Here's, this is a work in progress. Trying to get more depth and more, I've got to add more transparency to it. Here's part of the Cocoon series. Again, this is really the first time I'm showing it. I just love painting, and sometimes it's just really, and then you just keep painting, so you move on to the next thought. So I guess when you have enough, you can only wear one pair of underwear at a time, and I got plenty of socks, and enough said. Here, I'll give you a tour. So there's little ones everywhere, and the lights behind there, I can't really show you. That's gonna, yeah, more paintings, just little hearts. I did a lot of these. I was just exploring the disintegration or the opening up of the form on them, and the brushwork, and you know, you develop just by working. I guess that's the best way to put it. I have a bunch of blank canvases, large ones there. They're just working and working. You know, you can, tons of emotion just being thrown out into the, there you go. Just kind of was thinking of a bird's nest, a bit of that. This one I really love too. This was just, that's several years old. I've never shown this or anything, but I love it. I love the structure and the form and the delicate boldness of it. And it's just a system of forms. This is kind of like a movement of music. This is a earlier work, a structure of a house. Here's my couple palettes and stuff. This is, out of all the paintings here, I think this is my favorite, but I don't expect much people to like it, but it's just, I love this shit. I really do. I did this, I'm not sure I'll sell it. It's just oil paint, and it's just, it was perfect for me at the time. The palette is like lungs collapsing, melting like candles, and the figures and the way that the paint's used is just the use of red and textures. I just freaking love that. But it's just painting, right? Like, here's an up close of this large heart, and the amount of paint I use is, it's crazy. So this is one of my working spaces, just give you an idea. And thank you. Up here, I'll show you downstairs, give you a little bit of a tour. I've hired an architect. We've been working for a while now, and the drawings are all coming together. He'll be up shortly. This is the main level, the front entrance part. I've cleaned it out and gotten rid of all the old machinery and started with things. I haven't mud and tape so I can undo everything, make sure it's all passes inspections and things like that, and all those types of things. But I just want to, here is another room. This will be another part of the factory, a gift shop, art supply store, and I'll just give you a little tour here. I don't know if I can use that. I found this really nice sink, but I don't know if it's wheelchair accessible, which is too bad because it'd be really nice to use it. I plan on having this as a huge mezzanine space and demolishing that wall there completely and opening it up even larger. But that will be in the drawings soon. Here's my mobile transport unit that I would tow around and use as a studio to paint on location. After doing that huge heart painting upstairs, I got so excited I went over and I bought all this and built this just so I could do this one large 3 hearts. The lighting, it's backlit so you can't really see it too well. I'll try to show you, but when you see it up close, it's I just had so much fun, and it was just making the heart, the form, just kind of like graffiti, but yet depths. Anyways, I just love this painting. I went through an absolute mother load of paint though. But at the same time, I did a small one over here. It's kind of like a heart in flight, kind of lifting off. I'm working away. Had to stop though. I have had a stop work order. So I've got to I'm doing everything properly, so that's why I can show you around. Not too worried. Everything that could be thrown at me has been thrown at me. So here's a painting of after the flood. And I never showed this. It's beautiful. It's like a movement. It has so much paint on it, so much depth. It's just layers and layers of paint. There's just a detail in it. And then over here, this is over on Spark Street. That's a landscape. Here's a Cocoon Painting. And that's another one of my personal favorites. I just love this painting. It's I had an underpainting. I had 2 other paintings underneath it, and I painted over them. And well, when I got this one done, I really it was really the transitional use of alizarin crimson, and it's just the ripping out through those lines and that depth. Yeah, that's one of my better ones for sure. Here's a landscape in Old Montreal, painted on location. Woke up at 5 in the morning and like 4:30 or something, and started painting at 5:07 on location. These are I did these in Elmer. There's an absolute like blizzard snowstorm I got stuck in, and the paintings were flying everywhere. I worked on them for a month, and the depth reminds me kind of reminiscent of Monet in a way. But the cold comes out, and those strings of oil paint, that really only comes out when it's like -18, -26. I think it was about -28 that day, and the wind chill was even worse. So I went through a lot of paint. Here's not probably the best color for a backdrop on this, but this is part of the Lost in Her Ocean series before it really became a wave. This was one more of the landscapes of when the storm was approaching out near Carp. I actually had to screw the canvas to the trailer unit and fasten it with here's some of my clothes, just old clothes piled up. I don't know if I'll use them, but here's the House of Parliament. That was, I worked on that for about a month, and just the details of everything. It's got like, I think I worked on that for like 18 days to get that depth and that freedom and all of those structures in, and just get the effect I wanted. I pulled out quite a few paintings here. Here's another heart. Try to go a little bit quicker. Here's a Her and Him painting. Here's the world globe. This is on Belgian linen, and it's just got washes and washes of paint. Very delicate. That was trying to get that freedom. Here's another Lost in Our Ocean painting. Here's a landscape. Night. I just wanted to use red. Another Cocoon painting. Oh, these were something else. I gotta say, that glazing technique and that depth and that kind of like shimmering and getting that pink to kind of glaze over and create that mist effect. That was I was really pleased with that. This is a workspace. My daughter made this sculpture, which I absolutely love. She saw a locker and we had to throw it in the back of the van and bring it here, and she just ripped into it. And it's got a heart in there. I don't know if you can see the heart, but there's a heart there. But here's her workstation. She collected all the pallets and all the wood around the factory and organized it. And she's getting pretty busy. A lot more organized than I am, that's for sure. Here's a heart painting. And what else? Show you around a little bit more. It's hard to show you all the paintings. There's just so many. I built a storage rack unit in here, and there's just more and more paintings everywhere. Everywhere you go, paintings. And then I have Siegfried, good friend of mine, was so kind that he gave me these storage units. And then I have just piles and piles of drawings in them. I think they're all pretty much filled up. Just works on paper. Anyway. Here's another little round of, got to clean up and it'll get there. Live, love, art. Live, art, and love. I got all this was all the plumbing from the basement of the factory when I ripped it all out. Here's the little showroom gift shop. Just give you a bit of a tour here. I renovated and put it in all hardwood flooring, and here's Annie. This is her painting, but it's still for sale. She's touring the world, a dear friend of mine. These are some of the landscapes that I did in the fall. That's out in Carp. I was after Tom Petty. This is down in Kingston, this tree. I was thinking a tree in the wind from that Nell movie. Here's I'm tired. Here we go. I just keep painting. I have security cameras everywhere, so I've got like 20 security cameras all over the property. So, you see that? Not really. I just keep going and going. There we go. Here's another one of the landscapes. Here's a tree painting I did over in Montreal. I just loved it. And the vibration of all the different reds and ochres and just the structure of the tree and the textures. It was really beautiful. Here we go. So I've got this showroom. I got paintings everywhere, that's for sure. And let's see, can you see that nicely? That's part of the Elmer series. That's part of a mini Cocoon, and that's another Elmer one. I just had such joy. Here's more of the heart paintings. I tend to work in a series and then I will keep going. Here's a whole bunch of paintings. There's just too much to try to show you. I just love painting, so it's if you got enough paint and you got enough food in the fridge and well, it's time to paint some more. So, but here's this huge one from years ago that was painted on location across from the US Embassy. That was cold. Here's, try to back up here and show you that. That's part of the Elmer series. And a couple other little ones, little hearts. I like the transparency of the yellow. Then I go and I wanted kind of a spring, like just a music, kind of like a chord in a symphony, and then you go over to something like, it's just the different kind of textures and different things. Here, I was just building up the layers and just going completely obsessive on the paint. I used an absolute ton of paint. They had a sale, so I bought like 200 tubes of paint of just white because for some reason they're discontinuing it, so I cleared them out and then just went nuts. Gotta be nuts to go nuts. Here's painting at night on location. That was pretty cold that night. That was on the Mackenzie King Bridge. Here's another Elmer painting. Here's another sink. I want to try to make it kind of like have that kind of vintage look and do something like that. Another Elmer painting. There's just so many. I'll have to flip them around a bit to show you more because some of them are just so many stacked. Here's one of my favorite ones of the Elmer series. There's another landscape. I think it's kind of important to show people that you can actually paint and that you can actually do things. People look at abstracts and they're like, oh, but can you actually paint anything? And that kind of has an effect on you. So you kind of prove them. You go, yeah, I can paint a landscape. There's a landscape. This one was part of that series. And I really wanted to have the sky and the snow really integrate and weave like a spider's web through the whole landscape and like just have that energy of it. So I spent like a lot of time on those. Then there's this love one. Unfortunately, I was crying most of the time while doing this. I was focusing on my marriage and trying to hold it together. Probably too much information, but that was before I got separated and divorced. So I was just really trying, but there's just a tenderness and a playfulness to it that kind of I would like to think comes out. Here's a Lost Inner Ocean. And I wanted to have a vertical, horizontal element with a few diagonals and just that kind of structure and form of colors and space. At the end, you know, emotions come out whether you like it or not. And it's always, for me, it's always a preoccupation with other things and structures and forms and manipulation of paint. Here I was trying to make you feel like the wind was blowing the tree and really just kind of ripping through it. It's a little bit better on the other one, but you get the idea. This is, I'll try to show you this one. This is one of my masterpieces, or well, one of the works I find one of my most prominent. I'll give you a bit of a tour. It was cold as hell, and the paint was just like icicles of flesh. And I wanted to sculpt and be more physical. And there's kind of like the kitchen table with some paintbrushes on it. It's like a living room, but not much living. Here's some more. I want to try to make this a bit quick, but it's tough. There's another Elmer series. There is such sunlight and pink and tenderness. Here's an early work, very inspired by Picasso. There's Out in Carp. No, that was down at Mooney's Bay. Oh, the storm was fastly approaching. It was ripping in. Here's a Lost in Our Ocean. Sorry if I'm too quick. I just want to try to get it all in there and not take up too much of your time. Yeah, everywhere, just paintings. Love painting so much. There's one of the heart paintings. Thank you. There we go, a few more. Okay, I wanted to show you, oh, whoopsie. I pulled that out. There's one of the Zambias. There's another Zambia over here. And here is painting along Elmer. I went and used, wow, I just went absolutely crazy with paint on this one. It's all artist oil paint. And the playfulness and the fun of it, and just the absolute abundance of everything just exploded in this painting. Yeah, that's definitely one of my top tens of my lifetime. Here's Zambia, like the glow of the sky. Here's one of the heart paintings, and another Zambia. Just wanted to show you a few more, that's all. Thank you so much. Here's one I went a bit compulsive obsessive on. You can see just the mountains of paint on the side there. I don't know if you can see it too well, but I kind of lost the plot. Anyway, there you go. That's a view from across the street of my studio in Hintonburg in Ottawa. Not the best exhibition, but I just figure I might as well try to share. I had to move up a lot of my paintings from Ottawa, and I just thought I would make a point of just, yeah, that was fun. Wow, I love that color combinations and things. This one I almost got, well, I got heat stroke and I was out for a few days after, like a week. That's behind the House of Parliament, and that's the detail of it. Let's see here. Yeah, it's just like that. Kind of water lilies of the mind or the night. Here's Birdman. Did a whole bunch of those while in England. These are little just peewees. Just having fun painting all the time. You just structure and dissolving structure and finding form, but those fine little details, and then those energy and color combinations of energy. Just like graffiti, and I don't know, you just get really, you just keep working. I guess the key is you just keep working all the time. Not sure what. That's more like inspired by Philip Guston. I love his art. Here we go, just part of the beginning of the Cocoon series, of the birth of that. This one was just a painting that I finished, and then it got all slopped on of droppings at the bottom of my studio floor. Fuck it, you know. I think I like it just for its disregard. It's like does it really matter? What makes a painting is that half the time you flush your mind. You never know if it's any good or not. So you just keep painting all the time. There's that was part of my marathon series. Wow, I love those. Just there's like a shadow figure on the ground. There's another one, another heart. Thank you. Live, love art. Well, this is one of my storage units. It's hard to explain just how many are in here. Like, you can't even really show them because there's just so many paintings everywhere that I can't even begin to. Basically, I just love painting so much that whenever I get some money, I just keep painting all the time. Here's a massive one. I've got a whole bunch of really huge ones on that back wall there. One of the reasons why I bought the factory was so that I could properly show my really big pieces, and I could start making massive ones. And you know, just a burden of, I needed an infrastructure or something for my daughter. I didn't want to, just out of responsibility, more than anything, I'd love to show you all these paintings, but that's just gonna have to wait. There's another, you can see them just piled up everywhere, and stacked. And I sell a lot, but I paint a lot more. I just absolutely love painting. So, you know, very happy. Just pretty much being just painting. Thank you.